Here we go. For All I Know podcast number 11, I think it is.
Number 11, baby.
Travis, Rawd, and we got our guest, Alvin.
Hey, guys. Happy to have you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Or I guess we should call you by your new branding I saw the other day.
Oh, yeah.
It was Magic of Alvin, right?
Magic of Alvin Lui.
Of Alvin Lui,
yeah. So we just had to do, rebranding's always a pain in the ass, right?
Yeah.
So we just basically made it so that the at Magic of Alvin Lui is now across all the platforms.
Nice,
So
okay.
that way it's just more consistent.
Yeah,
Make it
sweet.
easy to find you.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I guess the name kind of says itself, though, but you're a magician, right?
I am a magician, yes.
Awesome. That's sick, man. How long have you been doing magic for?
Well, this year will be about 19 years.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so I always feel a little old saying that. It's kind of hard to believe. I started pretty young, but then stopped for just, didn't really take it that seriously. So I would say cumulatively about 19 years.
Wow.
It's been great.
Now, what gets someone into doing magic, right? That's always something I always wonder, like, you watch TV, you see, like, movies, and you see, like, magicians do like crazy stuff. You never really think it's real,
right?
But then you, what makes someone follow that as like a passion and like a career?
Yeah, my story is probably fairly similar to a lot of magicians. You either get an inspiration from someone like David Copperfield or like someone like David Blaine. For me, my father, a coworker of his, brought home gave my dad a tape of a David Copperfield special, a recording, and so I had no idea about magic. My family never watched magic, and so my dad and I watched it, and I totally fell in love with the art of magic. And that's how it started. I didn't know anything about magic clubs or fraternities or anything like that. All I did was I went to the library at school, got some books. There was like 3 or 4 books, and I rented the same 3 or 4 books for like 3 years.
Wow.
And that's how I started. And so all I've ever done was performed. I never knew about, like, these days you got like YouTube magic, right? It's so wonderful to see that, right? To see YouTube magic and all these different things and cardistry and stuff. For me, magic has always been a live performance. Like, if you couldn't do it live, it's not real. Now, these days it's not that true, because obviously YouTube magic and these type of things are very much, because a lot of kids get inspired by that. And I love seeing magic go that way, right, and do that. But for me, it was always a live performance.
Well, I think live performances are, you could probably attest to this too, is a little bit more impressive too. Because, I feel like even with working with cameras myself, it's like you can make a lot of camera magic, that's for sure.
And a lot of people are good at it. Camera edits, angles.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
That's awesome though. So I actually had a big dive into magic recently. I want to say a couple months ago. I got obsessed with the show Penn and Teller.
To Fool Us?
Yeah, To Fool Us.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's
You've been
awesome
kind of
show.
binging on that a little bit?
Yeah, going hard, yeah. Have you ever had an aspiration to like shoot for something like that, or?
I was actually approached by Fool Us.
No way.
It's funny that you said, yeah. So one of the producers had approached me to do something with them. And so the thing about Penn and Teller, so for me, I'm not too much of a creator. Like, there's people who will create more magic in their, like, in a month that I could do a whole lifetime. They're just that's the way their brain works.
Yeah.
And so I knew there's probably nothing that I could do that would fool Penn and Teller. So, I didn't really approach that path. It wasn't being on TV is not something that I ever really aspire to anyway. So it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm gonna get my chance.
Yeah.
So it was great to be called. I loved it. It was great to be called and
I
stuff.
bet.
But it wasn't anything that, it's just not in my genre to try to fool magicians. It's just, for me, is like I said, it's always been live performings for audience. But yeah, they're great. I love watching them. A good friend of mine, Alex Ramon, was on there, and he's really brilliant, and he was on there as well, and Adam Wilbur, and so I know several of the guys that were on there, and they did a great job.
So when was your first magic show, say performance?
It was probably in my parents' living room for a bunch of kids. My parents, God bless them, they saw a lot of shit that didn't work. They still probably do, but it's always the mom, Dad, check this out. I tried this new thing, and they always took the time to stop.
Okay.
Wow, awesome.
Whatever they were doing, and watch this crap that this obviously is not going to work, right? And they were honest. They weren't just like, oh my God, that's so great. They were like, oh yeah, I saw that. Go work at it some more,
Yeah.
And so they had the great balance of, giving me that attention and not squashing that, and then also not fluffing my ego up to inappropriate, right? So I was one of these guys that got on America's Got Talent, America's Got Talent that can't sing, or American Idol that can't sing. I think as a parent now, I see the value. I remember the value of really paying attention to your child, even when it's really ridiculous.
Well, so that's kind of interesting that you talk about your parents in that way. Was there a certain time when you were like, you know what, I want to do magic full time? Like, this is what I want to really pursue completely. Was there like an age that you remember kind of?
No, I never really thought that. That wasn't anything that I, really considered. Getting into the business of magic and performing, at a professional level really had always just been something that I just kind of eased into, right? It wasn't anything where I said one day, oh, this is what I'm going to do, right? Yeah. And then, even living here in California, there's always that multiple streams of income, right? Yeah. I still do, contracting work. I still do some of these other things that I was, my background is in information technology. Oh, cool. And so, I still have a foot in the, corporate world, and that's great because that helps me with our business. Yeah. Right. So then, but doing it at a full time at a professional level, it was just something that we kind of bled into. It wasn't anything that we kind of fell into it, and it was just like, let's try it, let's see. And then clients kept coming, and it was just one of those things that we were very fortunate.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, and so I met you at Sabio when I used to work at Sabio.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
We threw a party, and then you were the magician there.
Yes. Right.
And then I actually saw you again at the industry night.
That's right. That's right.
So is hospitality kind of that genre or that field, I should say, is that kind of your go-to for doing performances and kind of the more gigs like that, or is that just something you kind of fell into being in the Livermore Valley?
A little bit of both. Hospitality, corporate events. Most of our business is corporate events. I would say maybe about 70% of our business is corporate events.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's really kind of where we are. Most of our business comes from is doing that. Things like sales conferences and team building and, event parties for teams if they're celebrating something. And then the hospitality, those type of things, of course. For Livermore, you saw me around Livermore a little bit because we're, as you know, I'm promoting the show, my new show, Magic Unplugged. Yeah. So that, so I'm in that community a little bit more in Livermore because of that.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, so go ahead and go into your show you're working on, kind of elaborate on that.
I like that name.
Yeah. You like that? Yeah.
That's tight. That's cool.
So, I haven't talked about this part of the show in terms of the inspiration of how it came. So I will tell you guys here. Here we go. Yeah. So the core of the show basically is, instead of coming to watch a magic show, you're actually very much part of it. It's an interactive, immersive experience. Everyone participates. Every single person participates. Wow. And whether that be, you bring your own deck of cards. So whether you use your own deck, or you make a decision, or I use your phone, or use your Instagram, everybody participates. And so the magic's really not about me, it's about them.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
And so that's what the marketing, that's what it's sold, and that's exactly what it is. That's exactly how it is when you come to the show. Wow. But the inspiration of the show was, believe it or not, actually, I was really, really young when this came out, but back then they had a magic, MTV Unplugged. MTV Unplugged. And I remember I was really, really young, but I remember one of the first ones I saw was George Michael, right? And, he had passed away a couple years ago, whatever. Yeah. But he was one of the first people that I saw that did magic or did music unplugged in that way, where he went from doing these big, stadiums. And then MTV Unplugged was really just this small little venue, and was small for him. Yeah. But he was able to, what really got me was that he was able to talk to his audience and share, and the audience were actually very much part of his music.
Yeah, okay.
And that, I was a little kid, and so to me, that actually was an influence probably for me, just as much as magic was, just kind of watching that, era, right, of Unplugged and music and acoustics. So now, after doing kind of some of the bigger, stage shows and parlor shows and things, I always wanted to do a show where it was very much like that. Yeah. Where I was able to, but I don't think I really had the confidence to do that kind of show, because in doing Magic Unplugged with just like 30, 35 or so people, in a lot of ways, it's a lot harder to doing a stage show.
I can see that.
And the reason being is because when you do a stage, pretty much things go the way it's going to go. Yeah, you bring someone up to check out a box, or you bring someone up to check out a prop, but by and large, once they check it out, you go, okay, you stand over here, okay? I'm going to come over here and do this thing, right? So unless someone comes and tackles you, you're pretty much, the audience is not a part of the show, right?
Makes sense.
It's very hard to get people to feel, right? But in Magic Unplugged, everybody's in my space for the entire hour and 10 minutes or however long the show goes. There's a lot of things that go wrong. There's a lot of things I can't control, but that's what gives it that real intimate feeling. And so, so I never really said, but that was, the MTV Unplugged was really kind of the inspiration for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I feel like it's a better chance for you to engage and create more meaningful fans or audiences or Magic family members, I guess you could even call them.
Yeah.
Because instead of talking, like you said, to like 1,000 people or a huge group, like you're engaging one-on-one with everyone, so they leave a lot more meaningful. Like, dude, like that was super cool.
Yeah.
I think that's something fun too, right? To be a part of it, actually.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, I've always wanted to know how to do like card tricks or some type of Magic stuff, but I don't think I've ever been like, I say so hungry to like actually learn it myself. But if someone's like teaching you and you're like a part of the thing, like, I feel like that'd be an experience. Everyone could be a part of.
So are you actually teaching the tricks, or is it more of it's like a group trick and they're
It's I'm not teaching the trick because then that would
ruin
pointless.
the point.
But if you want, once the cameras goes off, I'll teach you a trick.
Okay, that works.
So once it goes out, I'll teach you one. No, I don't teach a trick, but what it is I allow everybody's part of the magic. Right.
Okay,
so they do, they handle the deck, they do the show, they do these things, and so that way when things happen, it really was like, hey, you guys made that happen.
Oh, I see.
Not me,
that,
right?
Yeah.
So it's so it's a really, and then the work is still definitely, the show's very new, so it's still a work in progress. We're still definitely trying to make it better. There's a lot of room for growth for sure.
Yeah.
But I think we're on the right direction. I think people feel very good about it when they leave. It really stays with them. People come back, they bring friends. So then that kind of tells us we're going the right direction. But definitely the magic can still be better, and I can still be better for sure.
That'd be cool. It sounds like a fun date night, or even just like going out with buddies or something.
Yeah, it is. So we do it at wineries, and I forgot to say that. We do it at breweries and wineries. So right now we're at Kincannon and McGrail. And so it's a great date night. It's a great girls' night out. There's been a lot of anniversaries and bachelorette parties and big birthdays and things of that nature. So it's been great to see people, and it's it was humbling for me to see people. They could go anywhere, but they come to my show to celebrate something. Like Mother's Day and those type of things. And so it's been really cool.
That's super cool. So you were mentioning sometimes things don't go according to plan.
Yeah.
Is there one thing that kind of pops out to you, like a good story moment or something? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's in Magic Unplugged, there's been so many because again, people, there's one effect where they do shuffle the cards, but part of it is that I have to kind of audience manage them the way they have to shuffle. So there's a sense of, it is their free choice, but I kind of guide them verbally in a certain way. So they have to kind of go a certain direction. And one it's the thing about doing it at wineries is that people do get kind of drunk. so there's that. Okay, why did I do that at a winery, right? But you're drunk. Shuffling is already hard for people who don't shuffle, right? So then this guy. So what happened was he does the thing and he drops all the cards.
Oh no.
So now I have no idea. I've lost complete control.
Yeah.
And it's the opening trick.
Oh wow.
And it's one of the earlier shows.
Oh man.
So I have no backup. I have no, like my old show, there's like backups and, safety nets and things you built in over time. I don't have any. So he's picking up the cards, and in my head I'm going, I have no idea how I'm going to get out of this. I have no idea where any of it is. My only hope is that, because he had already shuffled maybe about a third of the deck before he dropped. So I'm thinking, if his cards in that first third, then I'm still okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But I have no idea. And I have no way out of it. So I literally said, well, just pick it up and just continue on. And this whole time I'm sweating going, there's no way this is going to work. There's no way this is going to match this other thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give it too much away because when people come to the show, but he has to match something that was previously set up, right? By another audience member.
Yeah.
So we go through the thing and someone else cuts the deck, and he pulls it up, and it matches.
Oh shit!
The audience went fucking nuts.
You were like,
I went fucking nuts. They were surprised. I was surprised. Yeah. Everybody's surprised. Yeah. Right? It was like one of the great, and the thing about that is, audiences are really smart, right? Yeah. So here's a great example of that. If I said, wow, that was one of the best reactions, it was one of the best moments I had, I'm going to recreate this in the show. I'm gonna get the person to get the cards to about a third, and I'm gonna like take it from him and drop it on the floor. Like I'm gonna drop it on the floor, recreate that moment, go, oh my God, get him to pick it up, I pick it up. And then I could recreate that. I could literally recreate that.
That's so smart.
But here's the thing. It sounds smart. This is true. And this is where magicians, we take ourselves too seriously. It sounds very smart. Like, well, yeah, that's going to be good. But audiences are really smarter. And they will know that's not authentic. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you an example, and I'll answer the question again with another time. It was it was a trial show. This wasn't even a public, they didn't buy tickets to it. And this is another trick where I basically had to read three people's mind. I had to read them three people's mind. And and on the third one, I completely lost it. I lost where I was, and I literally did not know what card it was. Because the other two I had, so I'm just kind of like narrow it down, I have an idea. But this third one, I was supposed to have an idea and I lost it. And it's just being new to it, because this is a new effect. Mm-hmm. And I'm sweating there, and I'm freaking out again because I know I lost it. So just by some sheer dumb luck, I asked her a couple of questions, and I kind of found my way again. And even then, I got to this card and I go, you're thinking of, and it was down to 50-50, and I was still 50-50, and I made the right guess. You can feel that, right? The whole audience, weight, the whole weight, everybody, they're cheering, they're going crazy. Yeah. I'm like,
Thank God.
And so in that, I thought I was smart, so I built that in to the show. I built that, oh my God, I lost it. Yeah. Even though I didn't. And I never got the same reaction again. And I never got the same reaction.
Because it wasn't genuine.
It wasn't genuine. And the thing about magic, just like probably a lot of things, any kind of art, and even what you guys are doing, right? Audiences know when you're doing it, let's say for the money, or you're doing it out of ego, and you're not genuine. They feel that. You can be technically great. You can be technically perfect. That trick, I never made the mistake again. And technically, it was better than I ever did it in that trial show, but I never got the same reaction because that moment was really genuine. Mm-hmm. I genuinely lost it. I genuinely had the anxiety. So the thing that I, going through magic a little bit and growing into it, I realized there's a lot of beauty in imperfection.
Yeah.
There's a lot of beauty in imperfection. Yeah. I think it's really, when you start, you always want to get it perfect. You always want to get it just so sanitized, and you lose. And it's right. It's important, to get that, but you lose something in that sanitize. Yeah. Right? So I've learned that with Magic Unplugged, was taught me that there's a lot of beauty in imperfection, and it's okay. Gotcha. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay It's okay to fall, because then that makes you more real. It makes you more vulnerable. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, then sometimes you have those reactions like you had, where it's just like this amazing moment where everyone's like, "Oh my gosh!" How did you pull that off?
My thing is, like, if you don't get the trick right, what's that like as a magician? It's like, oh shit, like
it's horrifying.
Yeah, it's like
it's humiliating. It's embarrassing. Unfortunately, there is no way to go. So if you take a trick from conception to practice, right? You have a concept. How am I going to do it? Then you kind of get it, and then you practice it in your house. Mm-hmm. Then on this other side, if you think about, let's say, a road, right? If you on one end it's conception, or right, the idea of it, and then the other end is perfection. Like you got it. The nuance is perfect. Nobody can throw you off. It's perfect. In between that road, from one end to the other, is embarrassment and humiliation, and there's no way to get from this end to the other end. You have to go through the people catching you. It's not going to work. And if your ego take it, if you can't take that, you'll never get to the other side. You'll only be as good as how much you're only. David Copperfield, I posted this on Instagram recently. He always says that you're only as good as you dare to be bad. Right, you're only as good as you dare to be bad. Meaning you have to be willing to fall on your face if you want to be really good at something. Yeah. If you're not, you can still be competent at it, but there's a ceiling of how good it can get.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the difference. And for me, I've learned a long time ago is that I'm not afraid to be embarrassed and fall on my face. Does it feel good? No, it feels terrible. Do I avoid it? Yes, I try to avoid it. But when it comes, I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm like, I just got to get to the other side.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I like that analogy too. It's like one side of the road to the other side of the road. There's no way you can avoid it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go through it.
And a lot of young magicians, myself included, we try to go around it. We try to maybe show friends and show family only, and you just can't, right? If you play it safe, you'll never get to the other side. You got to take it to a bar. You got to take it to Starbucks. You got to take it out. You got to put it in the show. You got to have people feedback and go, that was stupid. That didn't make sense. Oh, you just did that. And they can be wrong. Most of the time they are wrong.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to go, well, if they think that, then I got to change the method because they shouldn't be thinking that.
Yeah.
You know? And I still get it all the time, right? You never get it right.
Well, and that's the funny thing too, is because the few interactions I've had with you, whenever you show a trick, I always notice there's always somebody who's like, well, let me see behind your back. Well, let me look over here. Right. Wait, what about this? And so I feel like it's good to have those people who are always just like, well, you did it like this. And then they get like super flustered because you're like, no, that's not how I did it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, right? Like that devil's advocate, not devil's advocate, but someone that kind of, what do you got going there?
Skeptics.
Yeah, skeptic.
Yeah.
It is. And I think a lot of magicians avoid the hecklers and the skeptics. I don't. I like them because it's a part of the ecosystem. If you only get fans, if you only get people that react great, it's good for your ego, but it's not really great for your own development.
Yeah.
Right? But when you get the skeptics and you get the people that's like, let me see your pocket, let me see this, they're part of that. Right? They are, right, as part of the ecosystem. You grow, then you kind of go, well, I wonder why he thought that. Maybe, right, next time I'll do this. Or maybe he does catch you. Maybe you do have something in your pocket. Sometimes we do.
Yeah. And
then they can, and you either try to either, hide it at that moment, or you get caught, which is that embarrassing thing, and then that's okay too, right? But I think everybody, right? There are people who look at it like especially here in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of engineers, and they're very cerebral about it. They don't react high. They look at it as a puzzle.
Huh.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay too. Some people look at it like, they react to it, right, really great. And some people go, oh, that's not, and then they're skeptics, or they're like just trying to figure it out. But everybody has a place in the audience. I don't say, oh, I don't like to perform for this crowd or this crowd.
Yeah.
It's all part of it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Have you ever hurt yourself doing magic?
So I used to do this thing where it looks like that I take a floss or a string and I put it into my neck. And you can see it's like you can see the skin pull and then I pull it out. So that I don't really hurt myself, but when you don't do it right, you actually kind of like a little burn. You get like a burn across your neck.
Yeah. So
I stopped doing that. I don't do that anymore.
Okay, good.
That's funny. So I'm super ignorant to the terms and stuff for magic, but from
you call it whatever you want. It's entertainment. It's not that serious. There's no ignorance. Call it whatever you want.
So do you prefer like to do sleight of hand tricks?
Yeah.
Is that kind of
sleight of hand, or yeah? Well, I think I try to do different genres of magic. Like a lot of some of my friends are really, really good mentalists, right? And I love watching them because I don't do that too much. But I try to dabble in that a little bit. I try to mix it up so that it's some sleight of hand, some psychology. Most of especially with Magic Unplugged, is really about storytelling and about sharing parts of not just my life, but things that people can relate to, right? Like one of the things that I do in the show, I use someone's phone and I use their Instagram. And I start off the trick by saying, I read this line somewhere where they say, don't compare your behind the scenes to other people's highlight reels. Right? Don't compare your behind the scenes to other people's highlight reels.
Because, I like that. I want to write that down.
Because people feel bad.
Yeah.
Right? Feel right. This person could have a shit life, but in those little squares of Instagram, it looks amazing, and then you feel bad. But because you don't see, right? They just took this little snapshot, and so I go on and I do a trick with Instagram to kind of show how reality is actually a lot more better than what you see in the online personas. So I try to couch my tricks not just in here's a trick, but I try to use that as a parable to either tell a story or deliver a message. And that sticks with people more. So they sometimes they remember the story better than the actual effect, which is great, right? I think if they remember the magic before the story or before the message, then I think I haven't done it justice.
You seem like a very positive guy. have you like always been that way? For like you seem very optimistic. You know what I mean? Or you look at things like on both sides.
I do look at things on both sides. I think, behind the scenes, I'm probably, equally as pessimistic as I'm optimistic. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely a person that looks at a situation and go, well, I see the risk. So in that sense, it's kind of a negative, pessimistic, right? But for me, I seeing the risk for me is positive in the way I look at it. Because I always say, like, if I see the risk, I can mitigate it, or I can at least try to prepare for it. Yeah. If I don't see it, right? But then seeing risk and seeing negativity in things can also be looked at as negative too. Yeah. Right? Because you see the negative in things. But the way I look at it is like, if I can see it, then I can prepare for it, and then I can, be better. Like, so when you do a show, when you're preparing for a show, you actually see nothing but the negatives. Because you need to be able to try to solve these problems before an audience gets in there. Because you don't want to solve some of these low-hanging fruits in front of an audience. That's different than the getting embarrassed. How I was saying, like, you have to be embarrassed, you have to fall on your face. Yeah. Those are the situations where you can't help it. Like, you've been practiced all you want, you rehearse all you want, but this is just part of the illusion, right? Mm-hmm. But there are certain things in a show that you have to prepare for so that the audience feels like they have a good experience. Like, there's no excuse for, let's say, the area to be dirty, right? There's no excuse for us not being able to check people in the right way because we don't get the right internet connection because we didn't test it. That's not falling on your face. That's just not valuing people's money and time, right? So I'm very meticulous about checking these things that we can help. So my whole thing about being positive and negative, trying to balance that is control the things you can control, and then the things you can't, you have to live with it. Right? So in preparing for the show, I actually see more the negatives than I do the positives. But I feel like because I do see that, it allows me to be positive when I do the show. It allows me to, right? Because I can now relax and go, okay, I've checked all these different things. Yeah. Like, take, for example, the Instagram. Yeah. If someone comes in and they don't have an internet connection, I can't do the Instagram trick. Yeah, that's a good point. Because you need to be able to hit the Instagram, right? You need to do that. So what we do is we test that. We want to make sure that when we start the show, we tell people, hey, if your LTE isn't good, and then we got the Wi-Fi password written out. So organizing things like that. But if you aren't kind of be meticulous like that, then you get in there and you're like, can I have Instagram? And you're like, oh, you don't have a. Does anybody else have it? And this becomes then all of a sudden, the show is just not. It's not polished. Yeah, it's
not fluid.
Not fluid. Yeah.
Huh. That's awesome, and I think that's smart too to focus on the negative. It sounds so funny to say, but focus on the negative before. So when you get on stage, you're like, well, I already thought about the negative, so it's all positive.
It's all positive.
But if you did it vice versa, you'd be focused on positive before. You'd be like, oh crap, I forgot to think about the negatives, and then you just start getting in your own head. And
yep, you put it perfect. That's exactly right. So it's like anything in life, you have to have a balance, right? If you only focus on all the positives, the negatives are going to come anyway, and it's going to bite you in the ass. Yeah. But everybody knows if you're always a pessimist, then that's nobody wants to be around you. Everyone hates you. You're just insufferable, right?
So do you have a team that you work with?
So the entertainment company is my wife and I.
Okay. Nice.
And so she handles a lot of the finances and a lot of the contracts and things. And she helps me with the marketing, and she's brilliant when it comes to marketing. She really is. She was a PR major, so that was helpful. Wow. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I mean, even a lot of what she learned at PR is probably starting to become obsolete because we've moved so much so fast, right? But my wife has a really great knack for knowing what looks good and what is attractive to the public. Yeah. But in a very genuine way. Right, like sometimes I'll have these cockamamie ideas, I'll have these bonehead ideas, and it sounds good to me. But then she'll go, well, if you kind of think it through, it's only good for you. It doesn't really good for everybody else, right? Right. So we're pretty in line about that, and sometimes obviously we'll disagree, and she'll think is one way, and I'll think it's the other way, and then sometimes I'm right, sometimes she's right. But for the most part, she's right about kind of how we position ourselves. Marketing and branding. So she's really good about that. And then she's also in the show, whereas she's the first person you see because she takes care of the house. She makes sure you're seated, that you get your wine right, and then she's all these different things. And she, makes sure that if you want to sit a certain place, she, makes that happen. And she makes sure that she, everybody's good. And so in a lot of ways, she works a lot harder than I do in the show.
And you're just the talent.
I just sit up there and do nonsense for an hour, but she's the one that actually puts the real work into getting everybody ready for the show. In fact, a couple audience members came up to me recently and they said, they go, your wife is really amazing. She does such a great job. And she goes, and he said, we feel like we know you even before you come out because of her. I never thought of it like that.
Huh. That's huge.
That's huge, right?
Yeah.
And I always appreciated what she does, but I think until that moment I didn't, because I'm not out there. Yeah. So I actually don't see what she does. I know what she does, but I don't see it because I'm in the back. I don't see the audience, right? Until I come out. So honestly, when I come out, I have no idea what happened. It was good, it was bad, if she had problems or no problems, I don't know, right? Mm-hmm. And so they go, we felt like we know you already just through her. Mm-hmm. And so she really sets me up for success in the show because it's such a personal thing. And so it's like a host, right? It's like coming to our house almost. It's like coming to our house having a party, and then by the time I get out, they already have such a warm feeling about me, but that's because of her.
Mm-hmm. Huh. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and I have checked out your marketing and stuff in terms of Instagram and things like that. Yeah. It looks amazing, man. Like it's very clean, streamlined, everything's consistent. Yeah. Even the whole take you did with the rebrand. Yeah. Most people would sit there and just like go over the thoughts themselves, but for you to actually engage the audience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the
like, hey, like which one with like the polls and stuff. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you've actually seen him do magic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to see something?
I want to see something.
People listening, it won't mean anything. But if you come on, is it you get on YouTube? Yeah. So if you go on their YouTube, you'll see the thing. So here, can you guys see it?
Your phone too. Yeah. So I'll record with this too, just to the mic real quick.
Yep. Okay.
And we can clip it in.
So which camera am I doing? This one or is it this?
Here you can. Kind of see how you're looking there if you want.
And then can you see? Okay. So here I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna hold it like this so that you can see. Okay.
Okay.
So I want you to think of a number. Let's say between 1 to 10. Go ahead and say it out loud. 1 to 10.
5.
5. Do you want a black 5 or a red 5?
Black.
Black 5. Okay.
Of course I was gonna say black.
Of course. I had to ask. I'm just saying. Let's see here. I want you to sign your name nice and big on the card, so that way the cameras can see it.
Right in front. Just on the front part?
Yeah, just in the front part.
All right.
Cool. All right, so you guys can see it? Yeah? Mm-hmm. So most magic's really based on optical illusion, right? So whether you see magic on television or you see magic on YouTube or whatever the case may be, it's really about optical illusion. So we've got the cameras here, so the camera's over here. But the funny thing is, if I just take a lean back like this, from where you guys are sitting, it looks like the card goes straight down the center of the pack, more or less, mm-hmm. right? But that's not really true, because if I just do this move, if I just do this, you see your card never goes anywhere. It stays up here on top.
Oh wow!
Right?
Whoa.
So we'll do it again. Look, if I take your card from where you guys are sitting, mm-hmm. the optical illusion is pretty convincing. It really does look like it goes straight down the middle, right? So go ahead and push it in for me all the way. So look, if I just do this move, you see your card never goes anywhere.
What the hell?
It stays up here on top, right? So now most people think that we have really fast hands, like the hand is quicker than the eye, right? But that's not really true at all, and I'll show you. Look, I want to make sure that you guys see the card right before we get it in. And so I'm not accused of any sleight of hand. I want you to go ahead and you push it in for me. So it's the bottom card. Go ahead. Perfect. I want to make sure that you see that 5, your side at the last second. Go ahead and push it in for me all the way. Yeah, pretty fair?
Yep.
So look, if I just do this move, you see your card never goes anywhere. It stays up here on top. Oh, you know what? That's okay. This is not the top of the pack. Top of the pack's over here.
Yep. Oh, shit.
Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up.
What the hell? I was like, oh, you got it wrong. Oh, no. Wait a minute. You.
That's awesome.
All right, one more?
Yeah.
Well, I could have sworn I pushed the card in on this side.
It was on that deck.
Are you, let's see, hold out your left hand. Hold out your left hand. And I'm going to isolate your card if it's okay with you in kind of a unique way, okay? I want you to take your other hand and just go like this, like a sandwich. So nice and flat, right? Now, you play cards at all? Do you play cards?
Yeah, every once in a while.
I'm just going to do this. You tell me stop whenever you want, okay?
Right. Stop.
Right there? Perfect. Okay. Whatever card you stopped at, we're just going to use. Okay? As long as you're good with it. Yeah? Okay. What card is this?
Red Queen of Diamonds.
Queen of Diamonds, yeah. Mm-hmm. Queen of Diamonds. I want you guys to watch the Queen of Diamonds. I'm going to do this real slow. You can see the shadow on that Queen of Diamonds right over your hand here, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So watch, I'm going to do this real slow. Go ahead.
What the fuck?
Oh! That's nuts.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Oh man.
I just had this card in my hand. Closed the whole time. Oh wow. Yeah, that was cool.
Nuts.
That was cool.
We're gonna have to clip that in for sure.
Oh, most definitely. I'll send that to you. Damn.
Oh my gosh. That blew my mind.
Wow. Wow. Shit.
So magic when you're in it that personally feels a lot different than when you're sitting,
far away,
30 feet from a stage, right?
Huh.
So,
damn. I'm still kind of mind blown.
I know, right?
So what's the biggest crowd you've performed for?
Probably 800.
Okay.
Wow.
800.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
It was
huge.
one of those corporate events where they had a lot of people, and it was just yeah.
It's funny too. So you kind of I don't want to say peaked, but you got to 800, and now you're kind of coming back to the more intimate crowd.
Yeah.
Are you planning on ever going to a bigger crowd, or are you kind of
maybe
like the more intimacy?
I grew up doing fraternities and sorority college, that type of thing of magic, right? So I think my first love has always been that real intimate, close up magic.
Yeah.
But I love being on the stage and kind of doing some of the bigger, the on stage and things, because there's a lot of choreography and there's music and there's a lot of those things that I really love. So I love that theater part of magic. Because it's very different, right? You're not as casual. Everything's very blocked and set and scripted and those type of things. And I do like that. I still do that. I guess I don't miss it yet because I still do it a lot for corporate events.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So I still do it. I just don't do it publicly where you buy tickets to come see the show. Right.
Okay.
And so I still do it, and I still miss it when I don't do it after a while. So I don't know if I might go back to doing that. In terms of you can buy tickets to the show.
Yeah.
But we do it a lot for corporate events, and so I still get the chance to do that. That version of the show, kind of the bigger stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're all good. I mean, I think right now Magic Unplugged definitely is my baby, and hopefully we can grow it. And I really love this being able to interact with people closely like that. And
yeah, well, you can see the expression and you feel the excitement in the room, and
you hear every comment.
Yeah.
You hear every comment and that kind of thing. So yeah.
That's cool. Shoot, what was I gonna ask? It slipped my mind.
I think is one of the more important things you said at the beginning was that your parents were super encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when people have different dreams or entertainment type dreams, the parents could be like, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You should be a lawyer. You should be a doctor.
Sure.
What do you think about how your parents, influenced your direction?
As a parent, I get that. I understand it, right? I understand that you don't want your kid to starve. You don't want them to, do that. And so the common consensus is obviously, you go get a college degree, you make sure you have that base, right? And that's what my parents did for me, and that was fine, right? But I think times have changed though about that, right? I think before, for my parents, you get that college degree, then you're never going to starve if you have a college degree, right? Today, I don't know if that's so true, right? I mean, colleges are just changed a lot today, right? It isn't like what it is before, and when you come out, it's still different. And so I think today is a little bit, there's also an easier time to make money and to start your own business than ever before.
Yeah.
So for example, if you, I don't know, let's say you bake cookies really good. I don't know, right? Let's say you're just awesome at baking cookies. You could make a business selling cookies online by just being online.
That's true.
You could. You couldn't do that 20 years ago. You had cookies. You would have to go set up a thing out in some farmer's market, and that would be expensive, or you would have to get, right? You couldn't just say, hey, I can get on, an Etsy shop or whatever it is that, right? You're selling baby clothes or whatever, right? Because you can make it. So today, I think if you had, so before things seemed kind of foo-foo-y, like you're gonna make a living selling cookies, or baby clothes. What do you, how many baby clothes can you sell? Right? But today is not the case, right? The internet and the social media and the e-commerce have changed everything, right? On Amazon, you can pay $40 and they ship things for you, right? And you can send them things and sell whatever you can sell, right? But it's all about your hustle. It's about how good you can make your online store or online presence and market, right? So I would say that for parents today, and even for me, if your child has a dream, has something that would, from your generation, it sound ridiculous, it's probably not that ridiculous today.
Yeah.
But what hasn't changed is my parents and you know, that generation's work ethic. That's what's changed.
Yeah.
Right? If you can combine, if you're listening to this and you're 16 or 19 or whatever, you know, right, 12, and you want to do something that by conventional wisdom is like, you're going to starve, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that. If you take that passion and you really love it and you take the work ethic of old, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll succeed at it. I think you'll be very successful. I think you can make a living on it, you know? But, you know, you got to start young. You got to work at it, right? When you're young, you have all this time in the world to take risk and build something. So don't waste your time, right?
Yeah.
So from parents, I think it's, you know, you know, I think it's definitely good to encourage your child to follow and pursue their passions. And if they fall and they starve a little bit, it's okay. They learn from that, right? And they learn the value of reaching for something, right? So if they're 25 and they're starving, that's okay. That's not going to kill them.
Yeah,
you
they'll
know?
survive.
Yeah.
It's good for the character, too.
It's good for the character. That's all right.
No, that is smart, too, because you're right. The internet and everything like that has changed the game. Yeah. So you're like being that kind of wild dreamer, you can succeed, but like you said, you have to work. You have to work really hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you know, you guys have this wonderful setup here, and you know, you're gonna put it on YouTube, and you guys are gonna do this, and you know what? All it takes is one, right? All it takes is one thing, and then next thing you know, you guys are like, oh my God, I got people lining up the door. We're getting monetized. We're getting this, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't do that, right? Think about it. Think about 20 years ago. You go, oh, me and a friend's just gonna sit here and talk. They'll be like, yeah, and what? What? You and your neighbor are gonna hear it? Like, you know? You know? Then what are you gonna do with it? Right?
Yeah.
You know, your Uncle Joe's gonna hear it, and you know, right? And then what? Right?
Yeah.
You never, it doesn't make any sense. But now, this absolutely makes sense. You definitely could, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of avenues you can do it, right? To take it from its own.
So do you feel like not necessarily e-commerce, but internet and social media, do you feel like that's changed magic at all in terms of how it's being used and played and et cetera?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question. That's a really, really good question. And that's something where in the magic community, it's been a big source of contention, actually. Not so much anymore because the discussion has obviously been answered. But when, you know, YouTube and all these different things started coming out, there was a big contention in magic that's going to kill magic. And it's funny because you're talking about the question earlier, we talked about negative and positive. Magicians actually, by lot, are actually very negative people. I don't know what it is about our thing. And every generation at some point thinks it's going to kill magic. I don't know why. Even David Copperfield, when you look back now, it sounds ridiculous because he's one of the greatest magicians to ever live and probably go down as the greatest one who's ever lived. But when he was younger and he came out and he did magic so different, people back then, and I wasn't alive back then, but you know, right? I've heard people back then going, oh, this is going to kill magic. Right? Because he was coming out and he was dressing like a rock star. He had all these, right? He wasn't corny and cheesy. He was very different, right? He did magic that was very different. And people, the magicians felt, oh, that's just going to kill the art of magic because he's, you know, right? He's going to make it so that it's not even magic. It's just, right?
A show or whatever.
Yeah, right? He's, you know, the way he dances with the girls and all that is very different. And it was fresh, it was innovative and all these different things. But obviously he excelled magic. Yeah. And then so it was the same thing with internet. Oh, there's a lot of reveals, right? Honestly, these days, if people want to learn anything, they can go and look it up. Yeah. Right? Our job as a magician is to try to disguise a method so that when you go look it up, there's no real way to find, oh, this is exactly how he does it. Yeah. That's why the storytelling and things are important. But by and large, if you really want to know how a magician does something, if you really, really want to know, you'll find it. Yeah. That's just what it is. And so magicians thought, oh, that's just going to kill magic. That's just going to kill magic. But if you don't advance, if you don't get out there on these platforms, magic will just die on its own, right? Yeah. You want to kill it, it just die on its own, right? And that's what happened before the last 10, 12 years. Magic was not on the public personas form of entertainment. People just didn't think about it. They didn't hate it, they didn't love it. It was just not in the public consciousness. Yeah. But with YouTube and Fool Us and Now You See Me, the movies, right? And you know, things like that, it became a lot more back into now. Magic's, you know, right? People really love it as an entertainment. Yeah. But magicians, because our core community is keeping secrets, it's very easy for us to shelter out and close out from everybody. Yeah. But you can't do that. That's the way to kill an art.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're going to get exposure. You're going to get people, and this is uncomfortable for older magicians because secrets and magic is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to get new blood. Right? So YouTube magic has inspired a whole generation of magicians. And they do magic different than I do. And they're great. Right? So some of them, yeah, maybe they can't perform in front of a live audience as much because they haven't had the experience. They can only perform in front of a camera, but so what? So what, right? That they'll grow and they'll learn. The people who want to perform, they'll perform. The people that don't want to, but at least magic is still growing instead of just dying out when people don't think about it, right? So yeah, so to answer your question a long way, it's definitely changed magic, but in my opinion, it's changed it for the better, much better, right? Because it's fresh and you're bringing new things and new concepts and new innovations and right, or you're taking old things and making it new.
Yeah,
you know, like the Instagram trick I was telling you about, the concept. The core concept, and magicians will know it if they see the trick. Most magicians probably know how I do it, but it's not a new concept. But using someone's phone and Instagram is very new.
Yeah,
that's new, and that's something that you don't see in many shows, right? And that's what people say. They go, "I've never seen anyone do a trick with my phone on Instagram," right? But the concept's old. But without Instagram, I couldn't package it that way.
Yeah.
Right. See, so
make it fresh.
So what made you want to do the Instagram trick? Like, how did it come about?
So the way I do magic is I don't find a trick, because before, and a lot of it I used to do this. I find a trick that I really love, and then I go, now how do I tell a story around it? Right? How do I tell a story around it? But these days, I find a concept I love, and then I see, can I find a trick that matches it? And I find that to be a lot better workflow for me anyway, right? Everybody's workflow is a little different. I find that to be a lot more genuine. Instead of finding a trick and then trying to force a story around a trick. And that makes the trick the altar, right? You put that on the pedestal. The trick or the illusion or the method's the pedestal. The way I do it now is, like in this case where I read the thing where I go, don't compare your behind the scenes to other people's highlight reels.
Makes sense.
And that, on a concept, that's a great piece of advice for today, and especially for young people, right, that grew up in social media. So then I go, well, how do I then find a method to demonstrate this, right? So then I make the story or the message the pedestal.
Nice.
And then, right, so that's the pedestal, and then the trick or the method or the illusion is just to support it and tell the story.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, I might go, well, here's the message I want. I'm going to try this method or this trick, but you know what? That didn't deliver it very well. I'm going to try another one. But the message doesn't change. I'm just trying the different, right? I'm just altering the method in telling the story. So in that sense, that's how that came about.
Gotcha.
Because that line kind of made me go, well, how do I want to tell that story? And then using Instagram seemed like a logical thing to do.
Right.
Well, that's awesome too, because you are adding more value than just like, hey, check out this trick, see ya. It's more like, hey, check out this trick, and here's a takeaway from this trick. It's like, it was cool and entertaining, but this is the message behind it. And then people leave like, dang, like they're looking at a post on Instagram. It's like some dude on a yacht with a whole bunch of chicks. You're like, well, I remember what he was saying. Whatever, screw that guy.
Right, and then you're like, oh man, I just, this thing happened at work and it sucked and I'm fighting with my girlfriend or whatever, and then you hopefully think, you know what, that's my behind the scenes, this guy's right. So I hope that that they at least have that little thing in their head that goes, oh, you know what, I remember that, okay, I don't feel so bad. That's
great value.
So are you into sports or anything else other than magic?
I love football, love basketball.
Okay.
Those are the two sports I really love. I mean, I don't get as much time to watch either anymore, but definitely, for the NBA playoffs, I always love trying to tune in and try to catch playoffs. Sports, grew up here, so so definitely a Niners fan. They're terrible, but still, Niners fan, and I love just being able to hang out with my brother and family and watch sports and things. I don't do it as much as I want to now these days, but so definitely football, basketball.
Okay.
How long have you been married to your wife?
This year was 5 years.
Wow! Congrats.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was she always? Sorry to interrupt you. Was she always like super supportive of the magic when she got in the relationship? Was he like, oh, let me help out. Let's do this.
No.
No.
No wife is like that. Trust me. There's not a woman in the world that goes, oh, this sounds great, I'm gonna help out. It's only great when you're watching it. right? It's not great when you get behind the scenes. And so no, she wasn't involved in it when we first started dating at all, at all. And but when we got married, then she slowly started to help out, and and she's definitely taken the business to a different level, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't. I don't think we would be where we are. I wouldn't be where I was without her in terms of the business side of things. But so even when she met me, when I met her, I was coming back from a show. I had to stop by and just randomly just had met her. I was coming back from a show, so she it was always fun for her to watch. But if you ask her, I'm sure she'll tell you it was a lot more fun as a girlfriend than as a wife. So
she's like your manager almost.
She is. Yeah.
There you go.
She does a good job. She sees, and I try to. A lot of people ask her, right? And if you come to the Magic Unplugged and you stand next to her, she gets it all the time. All right, you know how he does it. Tell me how he does it. She gets that all the time.
I bet.
Right? And so she will always say that she tries not to know. She tries not to purposely see it or know it. Because if she wants to know it, she could see me doing it. She knows, right? But she tries to just... Because for her, she doesn't know it. It's fun for her too. So I would say that most of the stuff that we do, she knows... Some of it she knows 100%. I would say most of it she knows 50% or less.
Oh, wow.
Most of it, she still knows 50% or less. And the ones that she hates the most are the ones that she knows 100%. So, there was one that I don't do as much anymore in my old show. And it's a one trick that is an illusion that everybody loves. Like if you see it, everybody will love it, like 100% across the board. And it's my finale. People love it. She hates it. She hates it because she knows exactly how it works, 100%.
Okay.
And she sees me spending a year or 2 years, really kind of gruelingly make that work. And getting her, and does this look good? Does this look good? Does this look good? And she hates it so much. So when people go up to her and go, "Oh my God, that was amazing," and she has to just, she has to smile through and go, yeah, it's great. It's great.
That's funny.
Oh, man.
So have you ever had an experience, because I know, like I was saying before, the few times I've seen you do magic, there have been some people who almost got a little bit aggressive that they couldn't figure out the trick. Have you ever had someone actually yelling at you, like, tell me how you did it? Because you said you worked around a lot of drunk people.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine.
Oh, a lot. Yeah. Countless, right? Especially when you're doing close-up, right? Not so much when you come to a public show, because there's a social IQ, there's a social norm that keeps people from being too aggressive in a public show. You've paid tickets, you're in a nice event. Yeah. There's a social norm that keeps people from being too much of a, right? Yeah. But when you're doing close-up magic, like for corporate events, and especially for Christmas parties and things where people get really drunk, you get that, right? So I was performing one time for a company, I forgot what they did, but these people were literal scientists, right? They're science, they're like 3 PhDs kind of people, right? And I did the thing, and it's just as silent as a mouse. Nobody reacts, nobody thinks, but they would huddle up in these focus groups, like in the party. They would just and they would try to dissect the thing.
Oh, wow.
And it's like little focus groups around the party. I'm like, this is the worst party ever, right? But they enjoy this is what they do. And so one guy comes to me and he goes, okay, so we've talked about it, and every time we think you could do this, but we go, no, but you did this, so that doesn't work. And he goes, so we're not going to let you leave until you tell us. And I he was serious. He goes, no, you have to now tell us. We've tried things, so now tell us.
Oh, wow.
I go, I can't tell you. He goes, no, but you have to tell us now. He was dead serious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's scary. I'm like, I gotta go.
He goes, no, but he goes, now we've tried, so now just go ahead and tell us now. You can tell us. I'm like, I don't think you get the concept here. This is right. But they just... Yeah, he didn't. And so
did you tell him or what?
No, I didn't tell him. No, I didn't tell him.
Slid out the back.
Right. I just slid, yeah, right. Yeah. I guess I've done it out the back door, right? Yeah. So, and then, so I get that, and I get, what's funny, right? You would think, the guys are verbally, tell us, come on, you just did that. They're verbally aggressive, but they're not very physical, the guys. The guys aren't, right? The girls, though. Women, some of them, when they get drunk, they're really physically aggressive. They don't so much as, they get sometimes like, oh, I had to, but what they do is that they grab things. They'll grab stuff out of you. They'll pull your pants and see. They're crazy.
Oh, wow.
They really are very they would have no problems getting, Yeah, because they, right? It's just a thing.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Right?
It's like,
the guys have a little bit more, like a little bit more of a respect about that because you never touch a guy, right? But they have no problem just like going in.
Yeah, where is it? Give me the card. And like,
they'll do all that stuff, right?
Your wife's standing right there, like.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh man.
They do that. Yeah. So then you have to deal with that, right? You have to deal with some of that, trying to get that barrier and stuff. And so, we find little ways around it and things, but yeah, sometimes it's shocking. Sometimes it's shocking how like they just come out of nowhere and things. And so I'll show you one more. Then this is, and I'll show you the trick, and I'll tell you a story about what had happened about it. So, yeah, you can go ahead and record if you want. Yeah. So, this is anyway. So my like I said, my parents they would watch shit that doesn't work, right? I said earlier. So my dad one day came to me. He goes, "Hey, do you think you can make any money on this?" He asked me, "Do you know how to make money? Do you think you can make money on this?" And I was scared. I'm like, I don't know. So I got hired for this little kid's birthday party in the neighborhood, right? And I was a kid, right? So I got paid like $5, right? That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And you can feel they're just $1 bills, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I went to my parents. I said, "Hey, I'm so excited, right? I paid $5, And then my dad goes, "Hey, you learned how to make money?" I go, "No, I just learned how to get paid, but this is how I make money." Just do this, you see. But they're real here. Check it out.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That is real.
They're real money, right? And so
you just had 4 ones though.
It was 5.
5 ones. I mean, what the hell? I literally just touched it. It was wow.
And so So anyway, so I do that trick sometimes on close-up routines, like strolling and things. And this woman takes the money and she crumbles it and she puts it down her shirt and she goes, "Now come and get it."
You're like, I guess you gotta keep my $100.
Yeah. So then, right? Is that aggressive? Like then you put you in that position. So the only and that's never happened. So you just have to kind of roll with it, right? So you don't want to make it be, because at that point you don't want to kind of reward that kind of thing, right? Because then it's just her. Then everybody else starts going, well, maybe that is okay.
Yeah.
So I said, go ahead and keep it. And I just walked away and started doing something else. And eventually she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, here you go." And she get back to me, right? Because at the end of the day, no one's gonna take your $100.
Yeah.
Right? But she thought, well, what am I going to do with it? But there's nothing to do to it, right? You just have to kind of go, "Hey, if you want to keep it. Congratulations, you made $100."
Yeah.
Right? Right? Wow. And that's the only way to do it. And then I just hope that she gave it back to me, right? She did give it back to me, but
That's crazy.
So yeah, you get stuff like that. But yeah, people get that shock because all of a sudden they see that 100 and it's that physical reaction to seeing one just materialize and go into 100.
Yeah.
So it's...
Yeah, that was insane.
That was real too. It wasn't fake. You can see right through it and the whole little face on the inside and everything. And
yeah, I'm still shocked. Like, how the hell did that happen? What the hell? So, as far as advice you would give towards any young person coming up, if you could have told yourself something back then or knew something when you were younger, what would you tell?
As far as magic or business or
anything, as far as like life.
I would say, for people who are young, if I had to give myself advice, is don't waste time. Mm-hmm. Don't waste time. Take more risk when you're younger, because when you get older and you start, having families and having more responsibilities, you're not as mobile, right? You're not as mobile. So I would say the one advice I would tell people is take risks, take a lot of risk, and don't waste time. Mm-hmm. Right? If you're 15 or 16 or something like that, yeah, it's great to hang out with your friends. It's great to just kind of bum around, do nothing, drink beer, but at the end of the day, if you want to have a life better than everybody else, you have to do things different than everybody else, right? And so, yeah, it does suck that you can't, spend time as much with your friends and kind of go to bars and do those things. But at the end of the day, those things don't really advance your life, right? So spend more time taking the risk, spend more time, don't waste time, right? Spend more time taking risk and trying different things. And I would say that would be the best thing. It doesn't matter what you do, right? It doesn't matter what it is, right? It doesn't matter. It could be art, not art, business, whatever, right? Don't waste time. I would say that would be the best advice.
That's awesome. So kind of taking that, is there anything that you look back and regret? I feel like you're a person with no regrets. I feel like you kind of played the cards right, if you will.
No pun intended, I think we all have regrets, right? I mean, I think we all have regrets that we should have done. I think that the saying is true, right? That you never regret the things that you do. The mistakes you make, you always regret the things you don't do.
Yeah.
So most of my regrets are things, the chances I didn't take, right? Maybe, saying no to this or being fearful about something. And, maybe I had an opportunity to make this connection or do this show, but I was like, oh, this guy's not going to talk to me. He's too important. And, and I don't know where that would have went, right? But that would have, because now I don't have that now, and I know that there's a lot of chances I take that opens up doors to me that I never would have thought, just because I took that chance. And now I think back, well, there's a lot of times where I didn't talk to that guy or didn't introduce myself to this person, or someone said, hey, would you want to do this? And I go, yeah, okay, sure, and then didn't really do it because I didn't feel like, oh, I won't be able to perform for that. It's too big, and kind of fearing that. So I would, obviously there's a lot of regrets for not doing things, but it's really around not doing anything. But I am very lucky. I would say very, very fortunate. I mean, in terms of, my family and, my wife and, my life now, I have definitely no regrets. I mean, and that beyond anything else, I'm very, very fortunate.
That's awesome. This quote from the show, Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen the show?
I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen parts of it. Right.
There's this guy named Job who's a magician.
Yeah, right.
And every time every time someone says trick, he's like, oh, show me a trick. He's like, I don't do tricks. Tricks are for hookers. I perform illusions. And that just keeps popping. I thought it was hilarious when I heard it, though.
Well, his character is a character that really reflects a lot of the magicians that take themselves too seriously. So his whole character, his whole archetype is
really,
actually there are magicians exactly like that. So I mean, for real.
Oh man.
And that's why I was talking about not keeping up with the times. That hurts art more than any exposure. Yeah. And so so he's actually, believe it or not, actually just kind of playing, maybe a little exaggerated, but not that much. Not that much. Yeah.
Dude, you got to check. If you haven't seen that, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
And
He's
to
hilarious.
think there's people out there actually like that is like mind blowing.
They take themselves very seriously.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, we're not saving lives here, right? It's entertainment. Yeah. Come on.
Oh, shoot.
Right? We're making cards jump everywhere. Let's not, it's an illusion, it's tricks, it's whatever. It doesn't matter, right?
You said there's a fear of magic dying. I think people always like to be deceived. You know what I mean? So I don't think, I just think this is hella cool. Like, how could people not like this? How could it, run out of life?
The tricks will never, the magic and the method, the core of magic should never. What kills it is the magicians. It's always anything else. Like, I think the people that represents a group or any entity is the people that can kill the entity, not the entity itself. The entity itself, it's a beautiful thing, right? And magic is one of the oldest, maybe the oldest form of entertainment.
Yeah.
One of the first written, documentation of magic, and arguably is either from India or China. It depends on kind of who you talk to, but it's old, right?
Yeah.
So and that kind of shaman street magic, right? That magic in this town square is where that started. Magic wasn't in a big stage. That didn't come until much later, much later. So this, street magic, as we call it, street magic today, as you see on YouTube and things, that's how magic really originated.
Wow.
Just in the town square, someone sitting there, people gathering. That's how entertainment started. The vaudeville, right? The top hat or the stage and the assistant, that didn't come till much later, right? So magic is very, very old, and it's human to connect to people through storytelling, through being deceived, and through going, oh my God, and wonder and seeing something you haven't seen before. Those things don't die, but those things now appear in things like movies and YouTube, right? Yeah. Channels, and depends on how people do things, and storytelling and plays. And so that wonder, but nothing beats magic in terms of that, right? So that should never die. So if it dies, it's because the ambassadors, people like us, don't treat it right. Yeah. Right? We make it more about us, or more about the ego, or more about it's not tricks, it's illusion. Shit like that is what kills it, right? Or not keeping up with the times, and still, dressing like you're from the 90s and things like that, right? Yeah. That's what kills it. Because people don't see past that. They don't see this, right? They just see you're weird.
You're just different.
You're just different, right? It's like, like if you come up to me and go, oh, that was a great trick, right? And you go, oh my God, you just did a 1 to 100, such a great trick. And I go, it's an illusion. You're gonna be like, all right, man, that was nice meeting you, man. Right?
That would kill the mood so fast.
I just killed it, right? Because I make you feel weird, and you feel weird, and then all of a sudden that just, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel how strange that would have been.
Yeah.
You see, it's us that kills it.
Yeah, it would have been like, all right, podcast's over, man.
Podcast's over. Hey, thanks, Alvin. We're just gonna hit delete here, and it's not gonna
never post this.
Never post this. Yeah, we're all right. We lost it. I don't know what happened. So yeah, it's the people, right? Anytime I think when you represent a group, you have a responsibility to not just be an ambassador for the people that you're representing, but you want to be able to appeal to everybody. So that way you bring people into your fold, right? I think if you're too isolated and like, this is my group and this is what we stand for, you automatically push people away from your group, right? And it makes people have a bad taste in their mouth of whatever it is that you're representing, right? So it's important to try to be a good ambassador, for things.
So would you say you have a favorite magician that you kind of follow to this day?
Oh yeah, I mean David Copperfield for sure, right? I mean he's the one that kind of like sparked the love for me, and I'm still learning a lot from him, right? When I watch him, in an interview or a podcast or just read stuff that he writes, I still learn a lot from him, and I've met him a couple of times. He's such a humble guy. He's like, you would never guess how humble and how. You see him do these things on stage and he's just bigger than life, and you meet him in the back and he's just this really soft-spoken, real humble guy. And his drive for perfection is legendary in our community. Then there's also a lot of guys I follow that the general public wouldn't have heard about. Just magicians that we know, right, in the magic community. So yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from them too and everything. But most of my inspiration for the performance actually comes from musicians. And people like actors and like directors, and because I read about how let's say James Cameron, right? What was his thought about doing Terminator, or what was his thought about doing Avatar, or like reading the Russo brothers, like how did they plan this Marvel universe? Yeah. How do you go freaking 11 years? And keep people so engaged.
And keep it consistent. Everything works together.
And people are crying at the movie. How do you get them to connect to characters who, before this Marvel universe, were actually not very big characters? Right? Like Captain America and Iron Man. Yeah, people knew about them, but right, nobody really had much connection with them, right? Unless you're a big comic fan.
Yeah.
But now these guys are like, right? They're in the public consciousness. Now, how do you do that? How do you tell that story? How do you set those tones and stage it? How do you do that, right? That's what really, more than anything else, is that's where I get my inspiration from, and that's how I learn to try to infuse magic, right? And it's beyond just the magicians,
Well, that's kind of a testament to how you said the story is the pedestal, and the illusions are the support.
Illusions.
I love that word, illusion. But yeah, I mean, kind of on the topic of magic dying, I don't think it could ever die, really, because like just the fact of those tricks you showed just now, it brought me so into the moment. I forgot I was doing a podcast.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And it's like you're so engaged, and you're just like, it makes you like, because I feel like a lot of times people walk around and they're like, I know how life works. Everything's figured out. I got it figured out. And then you see something like that, and you're just like restart your brain. You're like, wait a second. I thought I had a grip on things, but this like just brought me right back in the moment.
I like that. Restart your brain's actually a very nice term to say that. Yeah. But I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. That's we try to do these moments, and I think for me, I have a really great love for the audience, whether they're buying tickets to a Magic Unplugged or I'm at a bar and I'm just showing something like this, because even if they're not buying a ticket or they're not paying me through a corporate event, they're paying me with time. Right? They're out, they're having fun with friends, and I'm trying something new, and I'm saying, hey guys, do you mind seeing this? I'm a magician and I'm trying something new, and 99% of people
love that. Sure. Of course.
Right?
People have told you no?
Like, there's gonna be people, right? Some people are like, no, we're busy, or leave me alone, right? Like literally
asshole.
1%, right? And so that's what I do, right? So when we try something new, I have to go out and show people. And I too try to reward them by showing them something good, because I know I'm showing them something really not polished because I'm trying it out, right? And then again, that's that road. You got to get through that. So once I show them something, they're kind of like, oh, that's good, or oh, I think I saw that. I'm like, yeah, it's something new. But you know what? Here, let me show you something, and at least reward their time. But I still appreciate that they're still paying me with their time, right? So I think it's really important to really love your audience, right? And give them that, whether I'm on, whether it's an hour or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You try to restart your brain, so to speak, right? You kind of give them that moment, even if it's just like 2 minutes.
Have you ever tried that at like the grocery store? Like, oh, sorry, here's a 100.
Yeah.
You know,
that would be funny.
So when I first started doing this many years ago, I used to do it at like coffee shops or Starbucks, and I would order what I know to be more than $5. I order like 2 drinks is more than $5, right? Easy, right? So I would then, I'm such an asshole, right? So I would think, and I would go, oh, I only have $5, and I would do something like, is that okay? Can I just pay with $5? And of course they're gonna say no. I'd be like, all right, here, and I'd change it. I give them 100,
and you're like,
that was so freaked out. Some people probably just like went along with it, like not even.
And then
I wouldn't think it's real.
Yeah,
I'd be like, take a pen out.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they'll call the manager over. Yeah. I don't do it if the line's long. People get killed. You'll kill you, right? So if I'm like, oh, it's not too bad, like, so I'll do that, and then the manager comes over, and they're like, what? And she goes, do you have a pen? They'll be like, yeah, what? And then she has to explain what she just saw. The guy's like, what are you talking about?
Right, you seem crazy.
You're fired. Get out of here.
No, he just turned the one. No, I just need to. So I used to do that when I was practicing it to see just how real. Because I was like, did that really look like it goes? I don't know, right? So I try it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the easiest place to try it is at like, fast like coffee shops and delis that you can just kind of come in and out.
Yeah.
But did you have to pay?
Yeah.
In front, you go to a restaurant, you put a credit card down. It's not the same. They leave a check, but you want to be able to go. Will you just take $5? It's an $8 bill. They'd be like, no.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're like, all right, there you go. You do that.
So what? Kind of 2 questions almost. So what was the first trick you learned? And do you know of like the first trick, I don't want to say ever in history, but like the first famous trick that really caught on and kind of brought the artistry of magic to light?
I my history, like real, like long history, is probably a little bit rough. But if you're talking about modern magic, I would say probably Houdini's straitjacket escape. Was probably one of the first things that kind of brought magic to its more modern, as we know it.
Yeah.
The more modern era, right? Only because Houdini grew up during a lot of poverty where he grew up and during the Depression and things. And so his idea, the straitjacket, was he would always do it on the streets, like on a building where people can look up, right? Like he would just do it. He would hang himself off like a flagpole or whatever, something like that. And he would do it off a building. And his idea was, if I can escape from this straitjacket, you can also escape from your situation. That was his message.
Cool.
Yeah. And that was his message about it. So he would go different places and kind of inspire people to go, he's upside down, straitjacket. And if he messes up, he's falling. I mean, there's no safety net, right? Yeah. He's literally falling.
Game over.
Yeah, game over, yeah. And so he, that was his message. And I think that was probably, if you go back further, back then, I don't think people looked at it as a trick. They really looked at it as magic, like the snake charmers, or people that took like needles and put it through their nose or their arm.
Yeah.
So those are probably some of the first things that at that time probably elevated the art.
Yeah.
Right?
The kind of the shockers.
Shockers, right? Yeah. So, every generation has these tricks but for us, for the modern era, I would probably, I go back to like Houdini, where that's probably, he brought magic to more modern era doing that escape. And then his trunk escape. He would then lock himself into a safe. He would get a safe from a bank. The bank would loan him a safe. And he would go inside. And then they would drop him in the water. And he would be shackled in a safe. They would drop him in the water. And he has to get out of the shackles and pick the lock and come out. Now what's interesting, and this is where thinking outside the box is amazing with magic, is later on he would write, and I'm sharing this, magicians probably don't like, but anyway, sorry. They're kind of mad about saying this, sorry. He would say the reason why that worked is because safes were created to keep people from breaking in, not breaking out.
Huh.
So picking a safe from the inside is not that hard. Mm-hmm. What's interesting about him was when the police shackled him, right? The police shackled him. He's using a bank safe. Totally great. And they strip him down to his undies. So you can't hide anything.
Yeah.
He would, and this is where talk about dedication to your art, right? He would take a key, he would swallow it, and then he would regurgitate it.
Wow.
And that's how he picks his own lock. He's still underwater. It's still dangerous as shit. It's still dangerous as hell, right? It's there's no question. But
damn.
But right? There's those are methods. He unblinds out and then he can pick. He's still picking. He's still throwing. I mean, so there's a lot of physicality to it.
Yeah.
But there's a method to it, right? There's a reason why he can do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, it's not,
Yeah,
still it's still a lot of work. It's still very talented, very brave, all that stuff, right?
Jeez.
And what was your other? I'm sorry, you said that was the first question. Was
what was the first trick you learned?
I learned.
Yeah.
So it was oddly, I don't do this anymore as much, but the first trick I learned was a coin trick. Mm-hmm. When I was reading the books at the library and I did a coin trick, I still can do it. I was probably better about it before. I was probably better at it when I was younger because I used to do it more. But yeah, it's the first trick I learned was a coin trick where you you take 4 quarters and you lay a blanket on the floor or table and you have 4 quarters and you take 2 cards. And you're covering it, and then you would cover it, all of a sudden the quarters would disappear and go underneath the blanket. And eventually all 4 quarters end up underneath the blanket. Like one would disappear and it would go underneath the blanket. And then the 2, 3, and then eventually all 4 quarters go underneath the blanket. And so that was the first trick I learned.
That still doesn't sound easy to me.
It wasn't. That was the only trick I knew how to do for like probably 6 months because it took me forever to learn it because, that's the only thing I knew how to do back then. It was like, you get a book and you just practice it.
Have you ever known anyone, or I've heard a couple stories of people like actually dying doing magic?
Yeah. Have I known anybody? Thankfully, no.
Uh-huh.
Thankfully, I don't know anybody. Most of the guys I know don't do too many dangerous things.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends, Alex, he does a trunk escape at his show. And
Wow.
he has a fantastic show, and he comes to the Leisure Center in December. So
cool.
If you get a chance to see him, I highly recommend his show. He's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does a escape with the handcuffs in the water, but on stage.
Wow.
So you actually see him.
It's like a clear tank and everything?
Clear tank and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Last year, I helped him with it last year.
That's scary.
And it's frightening. It really is. It is no... right? And I know how it works. And I'm like, shit, dude. Seriously? This is, And so, yeah. And so, but I don't know anybody. In fact, on Netflix, there's a Netflix special called Magic's... I can't remember what it's called now. But it's a gentleman. He's a fantastic magician. And DMC is DMC? Yeah, DMC is his name. And he does a show that he goes and repeats the trick that's killed magicians.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Death by Magic, I think, is what it is. And he's a phenomenal magician. Super classy guy, super elegant, just really great sleight of hand artist. Mm-hmm. But he got this Netflix special, which is huge. I'm so happy for him. He's a fantastic, magician. And it's called Death by Magic, I think is what it is. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. But it's on Netflix. You can find it. And he goes and he does the tricks that have killed magicians throughout time. Jeez. And he tries to repeat it.
Oh, damn. Man.
Yeah.
I got to see that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I feel like I'll be anxious watching it the whole time, knowing that it's like, well, someone died before.
Right, yeah.
And not only that, if I recall, and I don't know if he does that with every single one, but he actually goes back to the site.
Oh my gosh.
So he doesn't just recreate it like in a stage or in a thing. He actually goes back to the thing. Goes like, well, over here is when this guy was like, I think one trick was someone was tied up, a car was coming, he had to escape from the box and he didn't, the car hit him and so you're like, this is where he died.
Oh my gosh.
And so this is where I'm gonna try, it's like,
ooh, he puts himself in that element.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, wow, that's crazy.
It's like, this is where this person died, right? It's very,
intense.
Yeah, and then they have to kind of do some like coordinates because obviously times have changed, buildings come up, and they have to go, well, this wasn't here when this happened, but they have to kind of, I think, estimate like, oh, this is where it was,
Wow.
So I walk into a house and going, this is the bedroom someone died in. Yeah. I'm gonna sleep here tonight, that kind of thing, right? Yeah. So yeah, good for. So that's what I'm saying. Those kind of things I really love. Right, I'm a Magic fan first.
Yeah.
Right, and so I love seeing that. Right, and some people go, oh, it's on Netflix and there's camera edits and this and that. There's always going to be some camera edits because you're on a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's just what it is. But at the end of the day, it's still a great idea and it's still a fresh idea.
Oh, yeah.
And it brings people on board and people binge it. It's like, I don't know how many episodes, 12, 13, whatever it is. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great.
So I've seen a trick. I think a lot of people do it. I think they call it like what's it called? It's like the stomach aquarium or something.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking
Blaine's,
about? Yeah. Where to me,
so,
that's insane.
He's so crazy. That guy is. That guy is amazing.
Have you heard about that one? Where so he'll have I guess he'll swallow frogs and they'll live in his stomach, and then the key he'll regurgitate it.
I've seen this, I think, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's a crazy, and so that's a real thing. So the thing about David Blaine is he is a phenomenal sleight of hand magician, but what he really loves doing is pushing himself in his body, right? And so what he does is he goes and finds these people that does this stuff. Like if you think about the traveling circus, where people did the freak show, right? And people sword swallowing or all these kind of weird things. Back then, that was the entertainment, right? They would find these people around the world that has these kind of anomalies. Maybe they have like their throat is a certain way so that allows them to do that.
Yeah. And
they would find these people and they would put them in this circus and they would travel and these like freak, they call it the freak show, right?
Yeah.
It's politically incorrect to say it now, right? But that's what it is, right? And it's like mutants. It's like modern day mutants. Think about X-Men, right? It's modern day X-Men, right?
Yeah.
So he would find these people that could legitimately do these things and they would train him to do it.
Wow.
Right? And he would work however long it takes him to do it. Right? He would hire them and he has the money and the team to do it, but still, it's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Or like swallowing kerosene and blowing it out, and right? And he has to hold it in the stomach for only a certain amount of time and all these different things. Like he has this one trick, you go to a show where he sews he puts a needle through his mouth, right? Through his lips. Right? But he has certain things in there that he's done, through or through his hand. He actually puts a hole in his hand by slowly putting a small needle and a bigger needle until there's actually a hole where you can actually put it through his hand. Right? There's no shortcut around that, right?
Yeah.
He's really doing it. He's not puncturing himself. He's not like he's doing all over the place, but he is doing that
one spot over and over.
And he's not saying, he's saying this is what I did. Right? He's not hiding that fact, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's insane.
Didn't he walk on water?
No, I think that was that one.
Chris Angel.
Yeah,
Chris
that
Angel,
guy.
yeah.
That dude. Guy. How do you feel about him?
Yeah,
I feel
right.
like he's
I feel
like the
a lot of
most
people don't like him.
What do you guys think? If you guys say that Chris Angel, what do you guys think?
I think of fake magic. I'm not gonna lie. That's my
fake
first
magic.
instinct.
Yeah, I just think of the guy on TV that does magic. You know what I mean? I don't have any ill will against him.
Right.
I feel like I've just seen so many clips and videos and comments about him that are like, "Oh, dude, this guy's a blah 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 blah," like all negative.
He does get hated on a lot.
Yeah.
And when you talk about David Blaine, what do you think about? Like, what's your first?
I think of
real magic.
More of I guess real magic or more.
Let's say more established.
Professional.
Yeah, more of a established.
Like people kind of respect him in the industry of magic.
Okay, it's interesting that you guys say that because obviously you're not in the industry conversations, and so it's interesting for me to hear because sometimes we get into our echo chamber, on our bubble, right? So it's really interesting for me to hear what people say on the outside. So Chris Angel he's a very hard worker. He's a very very hard worker. He is tireless and he does. Celebrity well, right? He does stardom well, right? And so he is now doing Planet Hollywood. He has a new show at Planet Hollywood. He just did a 10-year run at the Luxor, and everything. So the reason why Chris Angel gets as much hate, from the community and even just kind of the public perception of him is that way, is because when he did Mind Freak, Mind Freak, Mind Freak. And if you go back, and I think it's even on Netflix, or definitely you can watch it on YouTube. If you go back and watch season 1 of Mind Freak, it feels very much like David Blaine's stuff. Everything that you saw in season 1, he can. I don't have to think about every single one, but at least 90%, he can do it for you if he walked in here.
Wow.
Right? Because they had all this time to plan for that season 1, and all that magic was, as you said, more real. The problem with TV schedule is as season 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 went on, he had to do, I forgot, Mind Freak was an hour a week, I think.
Wow.
I think.
There's a lot to...
I don't care how big your team is, I don't care how much money A&E gave him. You cannot perfect that much magic in a TV schedule. To put it in perspective is this. David Copperfield, one of probably the smartest man, right? Most creative, most inventive, right? All the accolades. Back when he was doing a TV show, it was 1 hour. It took him a whole year to do that 1 hour.
Wow. Shit.
And he would tour it. He would put it in his show, and then he would only take the best of it, and then he would make that a TV special.
Wow.
Sometimes it would take him 2 years to just get that 1 year, and he would just hold it back, and then he would work on it for 2 years, and then do it on his special. So if you think about it, as someone like David Copperfield to do a 1 hour special takes him a year with his team and his money. You getting someone like Chris Angel to do an hour a week, you're going to take shortcuts.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no way you can come up with enough good magic. There's no way. So then you start doing stooges. You start using camera edits. You start doing all these things. And like I said earlier, the audience is smart.
Yeah.
Eventually, even if you don't know magic, it feels fake.
Yeah.
It feels that, right? Yeah. You just don't have a good feeling. And he went 6 or 7 seasons. And so the problem is when he got his show at the Luxor, he had a big following. Like I said, he does fame really great. So there's a lot to learn from him in terms of how to market yourself and all the things, right? But when he did the show got panned by critics up and down because people went in expecting to see Mind Freak.
Yeah.
They've had 6 years or 7 years of Mind Freak, right? He's cutting people's head open in the middle of Las Vegas Boulevard. Come on, right? There's no way, right? That's just movie magic, right?
Yeah.
He goes, and his show was just doves and old stuff. And people were like, what in the hell is this? Right? It was just really old magic. It just wasn't, and he wasn't a great stage performer because that's just what, right? This wasn't what he did, right? This wasn't what he did. And so, yeah, and you know, to his credit, he worked at it, and I think the show was much better near the end of his run. And now he's got this new show that I haven't seen the new show, and I've heard that it was pretty good. So, you know, it's you know, right? He paid for that fame too, right? Because he got panned a lot, a ton by the critics, by magicians, by critics, by everybody, right?
That makes a lot of sense. Because I feel like the one trick I saw was that stuck to me was like he made an elephant disappear or something, but there was like a clear camera cut. Yeah, I'm like, okay, they just paused and they walked that elephant out.
Yeah, right.
And then just started up the camera.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so you have to. Yeah, when you're doing that, so that's and this is what David Copperfield always says about when his special. He goes, anything I can do on television, when you come to my show, I do it live.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's huge. In magic, that's huge. And you know, that's true of his time. It's even true today.
Wow.
Because back then, only the network TV, only people who are real professionals can do any kind of camera TV edit. Today, you can do it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, a 19-year-old kid with you know, right, with a little bit of talent can make anything look good on camera.
Yeah.
So today, it's even more important that you say, look, if you see me do it on a video, you see me do it on YouTube, when you come to my show, I got to be able to do it live for you.
Yeah.
That's even more important now.
Huh. That's big. Well, shoot. My camera's overheating a little bit. I feel like we're probably overheating.
Want to wrap it up?
Yeah, an hour and 30 minutes. I think that's pretty solid.
Wow, really?
Time flies.
That time flies? I had no idea it went that long.
That was smooth.
Yeah, no, that was fun.
You guys are amazing. I mean, the questions you guys have is like... It's like you guys, it's so natural. Yeah, you guys are really good interviewers.
Thank you.
Hands down, you guys
appreciate
are
that.
Best interview I've ever had.
Wow, cool. That's nice to hear. Yeah,
really interesting questions.
Keeps us going.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
you made me think today. You guys asked some really interesting questions.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming. Is there with your show, Magic Unplugged? Right?
Yeah, Canon.
Is that to my my next show is going to be at Concanon.
Okay.
I haven't announced the tickets aren't on sale yet, you know, right? But it's going to be on sale in July sometime.
Okay.
And you'll see it on my site. You can just go to magic-unplugged.com.
Cool.
Magic-unplugged.com, or you can come find me in any social medias at Magic of Alvin Lui.
Cool.
So you know, obviously, love to see you guys at the show. And
I'll be there, man.
I'll come have a glass of wine and watch some magic.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Definitely. And I haven't forgotten. I'll teach you a trick when the camera goes off.
Oh, for sure.
But I appreciate you guys having me on, man. You guys were a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you. And then, so when Magic Unplugged, you said you're doing a series. Are you talking about TV, YouTube? Are you recording it, or just all live?
It's all live.
Okay, cool.
It's all live.
Sweet.
Yep.
Perfect.
It's only live. You only see it live. You only see it on YouTube. I won't record it.
There we go.
Like that. Yep. So that's the only time you see that version of that show, Magic Unplugged, is when you come to the show and see it. And so we want to make it so it's very exclusive. I don't do it for corporate events. I don't do it for private parties.
Cool.
You only see it. And I think that's an honor to the people who've spent the time to buy the tickets to come see the show. I want them to say, look, this isn't something where you're going to walk into a bar and all of a sudden I'm in a corner doing Magic Unplugged, right? And I think that devalues their, you know, right, their time and their money. And so I want to say, look, when you come to the show, this is the only time and the only setting you'll see this version of this show.
Do you let people record the actual magic show, or you don't?
So this is funny. My wife and I were just kind of talking about that. You know, these days with phones and things, there's a certain level of acceptance of recording, right? I mean, anywhere you go, we do say at the beginning of the show, right? We just say we tell you're welcome to take pictures. Take all the pictures you want. You know, tag us at hashtag Magic Unplugged. But we ask that you don't do a video recording because magic, once you record it and you put it out there, the punchline is right. The surprise is gone, right? And if enough people record and it gets around, then right. But nevertheless, that's a reality. people by and large are very respectful. I've had a few people record, and usually they record because someone from their party is up doing something and they want to.
That makes sense.
I have not had anyone just sit there and record the whole show.
Yeah.
I haven't had that. If they do that, I probably will just say, hey, right?
Yeah, what are you doing?
But, and because it's such an intimate thing, you don't want to set the tone to go like, hey, don't record, right? Because then that kind of ruins the environment too. So we assume that people will be classy enough to not record the whole show. If they want to do a clip because their friends up there, I'm fine with that, right? I just let it go. And, and eventually enough tricks are going to get up, or enough the videos of the tricks and things is going to get up on YouTube and things, and it's going to get, and you know what, that's my job to make the show fresh, to switch it out, right? Once it gets recorded too much, and I'll just take it out of the show and I'll just put something else in. So then it doesn't matter. When people come, they don't see that illusion anyway, so it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
makes sense.
Well, there's that positivity and optimism right there.
Well, it pushes me, right? And you can't rest on your laurels. So that's the thing. The technology is great because it pushes us to not do the same thing we've been doing for 30 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And without that incentive, we just kind of, it's easy to sit on the same thing over and over again. So, good question though. Yeah, the recording. Yeah. So, but so we try not to, but it's a fact of life.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Well, shoot. See you in July.
Yeah. August. Oh, sorry. The ticket's going to go up on July. August 16. August 16 will be the next show.
Cool.
So I haven't announced. So I've announced it here. I haven't announced it yet. So
sweet. There we go. Official.
Hey, official. There you go.
For all I know, exclusive.
Yeah. There you go. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Alvin. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.